Before we get started today, I want to take a moment because this episode is episode 200 of Awesomeness Abounds. Heck yeah! Let's go! What began as a simple idea has turned into 200 conversations, stories, and reminders that even on hard days, awesomeness really does abound. This podcast has made its way to 6 different continents, which is crazy to think about. So if you've listened to just one episode or all 200, thank you for being here. Let's jump in. Every great idea has an origin story. Sometimes it's a life-changing moment. Sometimes it's incredible tragedy. Sometimes it's an incredible victory. And sometimes it just starts with a cup of coffee. Years ago, I had a friend from church who would invite me to meet up on Sunday mornings occasionally. We'd go to this little coffee shop near campus called Cup o' Joe. Now, I don't even drink coffee, so I definitely would order something else. The drink was never really important or the point of the whole meetup. The conversation was. There wasn't anything romantic about the cup of coffee meeting. It wasn't mentorship, and we weren't lifelong best friends. We were simply two people trying to figure out life. We'd talk about work, relationships, dreams, disappointments, decisions, anything that happened to be on our mind that week. And what made those conversations so valuable wasn't that either one of us had all the answers. It was that neither of us had an agenda. Because we weren't deeply connected to each other's circumstances. We could offer something incredibly rare. Honest perspective. No office politics, no family drama, no emotional investment in the outcome. Just someone who cared enough to listen and cared enough to tell the truth. Those conversations became sacred to me. Not because they solved every problem, but because they reminded me that none of us are meant to carry life alone. We all need someone who can simply sit across the table and ask, "So, what's going on?" It's amazing how much clarity can come from someone who isn't trying to fix your life. They're just helping you see it more clearly. Years later, I realized something. Those coffee conversations became part of the reason this podcast exists. This episode happens to be the 200th episode. And when I look back, I don't think this podcast was ever really about microphones or downloads or statistics. And it has always been about recreating that coffee shop moment. Creating a place where, for a few minutes, someone can hear a story, discover a lesson, and walk away just a little bit more encouraged than when they arrived. There's no homework, no book report, no obligation to call me next week and explain whether you took the advice. Just an opportunity to borrow someone else's life lesson before you have to learn it the hard way yourself. Think about how powerful that is. Every person you meet has paid tuition for wisdom that they have. They've had mistakes. They've experienced victories. They've learned lessons. And if we're willing to slow down long enough to listen, we get to benefit from the education we never had to pay for. I think our world desperately needs more conversations like this. We're surrounded by noise and outrage. We're surrounded by people talking at each other instead of with each other. But somewhere, right now, 2 people are sitting across from one another with 2 warm drinks, just sharing their life. They're reminding each other to keep going. They're giving each other hope. They're becoming better because someone took the time to listen. Maybe changing the world doesn't always begin with a speech to thousands of people. Maybe it begins with one conversation between 2 people. 1 cup of coffee, 1 cup of tea, 1 hot chocolate, or a bottle of water. The drink doesn't really matter, but the connection sure does. So if you've been listening to these episodes, whether you've heard 5 of them or all 200, thank you. It's a privilege to be invited into your commute, your workout, your walk, or wherever you happen to listen. My hope has never been to change the entire world overnight. My hope has simply been to make someone's day just a little bit better. To help someone think a little differently. To encourage someone to keep running when they felt like quitting. Because that's exactly what those Sunday morning conversations did for me. So this week, here's my challenge. Don't just listen to another podcast. Call somebody. Invite them to coffee, or tea, or lunch, or whatever your beverage of choice happens to be. Sit down, put the phones away, ask good questions, and listen well. And you never know, the conversation that changes your life or inspires the next 200 ideas might begin with nothing more than a simple invitation to go grab a cup of coffee. Do something awesome. Toodles.